we'll keep drifting, floating together through the mysteries. 100 Mariana Trench Mystery, looping softly, endlessly, through the night. Tonight we'll drift through the glowing shape that rose from the trench floor, then vanished forever. The hidden canyon so deep that sonar refused to return a signal. The colossal shadow that moved against every current. There's nothing you need to do now. Just let your body sink. Heavier, heavier. Feel the mattress holding you. Every muscle softening. Your heartbeat slowing. Thump, thump, matching the rhythm of space itself. Shoulders melting down, jaw releasing, each breath pulling you deeper, deeper, into the calm, the quiet, the dark. If this helps you rest, tap subscribe, comment, and hit like, so others can find this calm too, but only if your eyes are still open. Otherwise, just drift. Now, let's drift into Mariana Trench, 7 miles down, 7 miles, where the ocean floor folds into itself, creating the deepest scar on Earth's surface, the Mariana Trench, stretching across the western Pacific like a crescent moon carved into stone, 1,500 miles long. Heavier, heavier. You're breathing, soft, easy, as we descend together, past the sunlight, past the memory of light. The trench sits where 2 massive plates meet, the Pacific plate sliding, sliding, beneath a smaller Mariana plate, grinding so slowly, millimeters each year, creating this cathedral of pressure and darkness. Challenger Deep, the deepest point, nearly 7 miles below the surface. Thump, thump. If you placed Mount Everest inside, its peak would still rest more than a mile beneath the waves. Let that sink in, the vastness, the impossible depth, your eyelids growing heavy, heavy as the water above, the pressure down there, 8 tons, pressing on every square inch, 1,000 times the pressure at sea level, enough to crush steel, to fold metal like paper. Yet life persists, strange and silent, drifting, just as you're drifting now. In the uppermost regions, the epipelagic zone, sunlight still penetrates, but as we sink heavier, heavier, past 600 feet, we enter the midnight zone, where 90% of ocean creatures create their own light, bioluminescence, like stars scattered through liquid space, your muscles releasing. The hadopelagic zone, named for Hades, the ancient underworld, begins at 20,000 feet. This is where the Mariana Trench lives, in perpetual darkness, in cold that seeps into everything, temperatures hovering just above freezing, 1 to 4 degrees, except where the earth bleeds heat. Superheated vents, hydrothermal chimneys rising from cracks in the sea floor, where tectonic forces tear the crust. Water surges through, heated by magma chambers below, emerging at 700 degrees, hot enough to melt lead. Yet the pressure is so immense the water cannot boil. It shimmers like a fever dream, creating plumes of mineral-rich fluid, black smokers, white smokers, breathing, breathing. Around these vents, entire ecosystems thrive. Tube worms longer than your body, their red plumes waving in the current, no mouth, no stomach, surviving on bacteria that process sulfur, chemosynthesis instead of photosynthesis, life without sun, without light, just chemical energy, drifting, converting poison into sustenance, your heartbeat, thump, thump, slowing to match the ancient rhythm. Strange creatures pass through this darkness, the barrelly fish, with its transparent head, eyes looking up through its own skull, rotating, watching for prey backlit against the distant surface, its head filled with fluid, clear as glass, a ghost, floating, just as you float now towards sleep. Giant amphipods scuttle across the sediment, crustaceans the size of dinner plates, their bodies adapted to withstand pressures that would destroy most life, pale, translucent, moving slowly, conserving energy in a world where food drifts down like rare snow, marine snow, the constant fall of organic matter, fragments of dead organisms, waste pellets, slowly, slowly descending. This snow takes weeks, months to reach the bottom, thump, thump, gathering, accumulating, creating a soft sediment layer, ooze, covering the mysteries beneath. Some of this ooze is millions of years old, layer upon layer, recording time, preserving silence, the abyssal plains surrounding the trench, flat, featureless, stretching for miles, sediment so fine it feels like silk. Occasional stones rest there, drop stones, carried by ancient icebergs, released when the ice melted, now resting in darkness for 10,000 years, 20,000. Let your thoughts settle like sediment, heavier, heavier, drifting down. We drift now through regions where sound behaves in unexpected ways, where acoustic shadows form in the water, creating zones of absolute silence surrounded by areas where even the faintest noise carries for miles. The ocean's architecture of temperature and salinity creates invisible walls, invisible channels, guiding sound along paths determined by physics. Your thoughts are moving through similar invisible channels now, following well-worn neural pathways toward rest, toward the quiet spaces in your mind where consciousness fades and dreams take root. Each thought finds its path, each breath finds its rhythm, and you sink deeper into the comfort of letting go. The color of the ocean changes with depth. Near the surface, the full spectrum of visible light penetrates the water, blues and greens dominating, but red light is absorbed first, disappearing within the first 30 feet. Then orange fades, then yellow. By 200 feet, only blue and violet remain, creating that characteristic deep blue of open ocean. Below 600 feet, even blue light cannot penetrate. The midnight zone begins, and with it, complete darkness. Yet this darkness isn't uniform. Bioluminescent creatures create pinpricks of light, flashes, glows, like stars scattered through liquid space. The darkness here is alive with light produced by life itself. Your closed eyelids perceive a similar darkness now, occasionally interrupted by phosphenes, those random flashes of light created by your own neurons firing. These lights mean nothing. They're just the background activity of a resting brain, drifting lights in your personal darkness. Deep sea sponges grow on the trench walls, ancient animals that have existed largely unchanged for over 600 million years. Some specimens alive today may be thousands of years old, growing at rates so slow they're almost imperceptible. A sponge the size of your hand might be older than medieval cathedrals, older than the pyramids. These sponges filter vast quantities of water through their bodies, extracting bacteria and organic particles. A single large sponge can filter thousands of gallons per day, processing the water silently, patiently, for centuries. They ask nothing of the ocean but the current that brings them food. You too are filtering now, your mind processing the day's experiences, sorting memories, deciding what to keep and what to release. This processing happens automatically during sleep, your brain working quietly while you rest, organizing, consolidating, preparing for tomorrow. The Western Pacific has some of the oldest oceanic crust on Earth. While most ocean floor is recycled through subduction zones every 200 million years or so, making it geologically young compared to continental crust, certain areas have escaped subduction for much longer. These ancient patches of seafloor carry chemical signatures from the early Earth, from times when the atmosphere contained less oxygen, when the continents were configured differently. Reading these chemical signatures is like reading pages from Earth's diary, entries written in isotopes and minerals telling stories of ancient volcanic eruptions, climate shifts and biological revolutions. The stone remembers everything if you know how to listen. Your body remembers everything too. Every sleep, every rest, every moment of peace you've ever experienced. These memories are encoded in your nervous system, and they're helping you now, reminding your body how to relax, how to surrender, how to find the deepness of true rest. In the perpetual cold of the deep ocean, metabolisms run slow. Cold-blooded creatures in these waters move languidly, their body chemistry operating at a fraction of the speed of warm water relatives. A fish might take minutes to react to a stimulus that would cause a surface fish to respond in milliseconds. This slowness is not a disadvantage, it's an adaptation. Energy is scarce in the deep. Every movement costs calories that may not be easily replaced. Better to move slowly, deliberately, to conserve resources, to wait patiently for opportunities rather than actively hunting them. Your metabolism is slowing too. Heart rate decreasing, blood pressure dropping, core body temperature lowering slightly. Your body is conserving energy, preparing for the restoration that happens during sleep, when resources can be directed toward healing, growth, and memory consolidation, rather than movement and conscious thought. The Mariana Trench sits at the convergence of several major ocean currents. The North Equatorial Current flows westward, the Kuroshio Current flows northward, and deep thermohaline circulation moves water through the basins and valleys of the trench system. These currents interact in complex ways, creating eddies, upwellings, and zones where different water masses meet but don't immediately mix. At the boundaries between water masses, strange things happen. Temperature can change dramatically within inches. Salinity shifts create density gradients so steep they act almost like solid surfaces, with heavier water below and lighter water above, and creatures able to rest at the boundary as if on an invisible floor. You're resting on your own invisible floor now, the boundary between waking and sleeping, between thought and dream. This boundary is comfortable, supportive, holding you gently as you prepare to cross from one state to another. Pressure-resistant proteins in deep sea organisms are being studied by biotechnology companies. These proteins maintain their structure and function under extreme conditions, making them valuable for industrial processes, medical applications, and scientific research. The deep ocean may hold solutions to problems we haven't even fully articulated yet. Nature's solutions, evolved over millions of years, are often more elegant than anything human engineering can devise. The deep teaches patience, adaptation, and efficiency. Every successful organism there represents millions of years of problem solving, of trial and error, of finding what works and keeping it. Your body is nature's solution to the problem of rest, perfected over hundreds of millions of years of vertebrate evolution. Every system works together, every process optimized for restoration. Trust these ancient solutions. Your body knows how to sleep. It's done this thousands of times before. Some areas of the trench floor are covered in vast fields of sea pens, colonial animals that look like old-fashioned quill pens stuck in the sediment. Each pen is actually a colony of individual polyps working together, some feeding, some reproducing, some providing structure. They sway gently in the weak currents, creating underwater forests in miniature. These sea pen fields provide habitat for smaller creatures, shrimp, small fish, worms that wrap around the stalks. The pens create complexity in an otherwise simple environment, vertical structure where there would otherwise be only flat sediment. Life creates opportunities for more life. Your sleeping mind will create its own structures tonight, dreams building themselves from the raw material of memory and imagination, creating complexity from simplicity, finding meaning in randomness or randomness in meaning. The architecture of dreams follows rules we don't fully understand, but it doesn't matter. You don't need to understand to experience. The Pacific Ocean contains more water than all other seas combined. Its average depth is over 13,000 feet. Its total volume is incomprehensible. If you could somehow drain the Pacific, the emptied basin would be so vast that you could fit every human structure ever built. Every city, every road, every building, into just a tiny corner of it. We are small, and that's okay. The vastness of the ocean doesn't diminish us. It puts us in perspective. We're part of something larger, something ancient, something that will continue long after we're gone. There's comfort in that, in knowing that the universe doesn't require our attention or control. You don't need to control anything now. You can release your grip on the day, on your plans, your worries, your responsibilities. They'll all be there tomorrow, right now, in this moment. There's nothing you need to do except rest. Microplastics have been found even in the deepest parts of the Mariana Trench, carried there by currents, by sinking particles, by the digestive systems of creatures that feed at multiple depths. This discovery was sobering for researchers, a reminder that human impact reaches everywhere, even to places we've barely visited. Yet the ocean is vast and resilient. It has absorbed cataclysmic changes before: asteroid impacts, volcanic eruptions, ice ages. The deep ocean persists through everything, its fundamental nature unchanged by surface events. The currents still flow, the vents still erupt, life still finds ways to thrive in the darkness. You too are resilient, capable of absorbing the day's stresses, processing them, releasing them. Sleep is your ocean, vast enough to contain everything, deep enough to dissolve worry, powerful enough to restore you completely by morning. Some deep sea fish have evolved away from having eyes entirely, in the absolute darkness where they live. Eyes provide no advantage. Better to redirect that energy and biological complexity toward other senses. Pressure-sensitive lateral lines, chemical receptors, bioluminescent lures. Evolution is ruthlessly practical, eliminating what doesn't serve, enhancing what does. In sleep, you set aside senses you don't need. Vision fades first, then hearing becomes less important. Touch remains somewhat active. Your body still monitors position, temperature, pressure against the mattress, but conscious processing of these inputs diminishes, allowing your brain to focus on internal work rather than external monitoring. The trench is, in many ways, a time capsule. The cold temperatures and high pressures slow decay, slow everything. Organic matter that would decompose in days or weeks at the surface might persist for months or years in the deep. Wood from shipwrecks remains recognizable for decades. Even bones, which normally dissolve quickly in seawater, last longer under pressure. This preservation creates a record, a history written in the accumulated remains of life and human activity. Future researchers might study the deep ocean floor like archaeologists study ancient cities, finding layers that tell stories of different eras, different climates, different ecosystems. Your mind is also creating records tonight, consolidating memories from today, deciding what's worth keeping and what can be forgotten. This archival process happens primarily during sleep, particularly during the deeper stages. Your sleeping brain is already beginning this work, filing away experiences, strengthening important neural connections, pruning away what's no longer needed. The Mariana Trench will continue long after humanity's gone. The plates will keep moving. the subduction will continue. Earthquakes will still rumble through the stone. In 1,000,000 years, the trench might be deeper or might have moved slightly, but it will still exist, still dark, still cold, still pressing down with incomprehensible weight. There's something peaceful about geological time, about processes so slow and inevitable that our daily concerns become almost invisible by comparison. The trench doesn't worry. The ocean doesn't plan. They simply exist, flowing according to physical laws, responding to forces, changing so gradually that each moment is essentially eternal. You can exist that way too, right now, without worry, without planning, just being, just breathing, just resting in this moment that stretches out toward infinity. This moment that is all that truly exists, and we continue drifting, floating together through the peaceful dark, through the mystery and silence of the deepest ocean, knowing that sleep is coming, feeling it approach like a gentle tide, inevitable, natural, welcoming. The universe keeps turning. The Mariana Trench keeps its vigil in the deep, and we keep drifting, floating together through the mysteries, through the endless peaceful dark, and we continue our descent together, floating through waters that have remained unchanged for millions of years. Your breathing has become so automatic, so natural, that you barely notice it anymore. Each breath flows in and out like the gentle currents that move through the deepest parts of the ocean. The Mariana Trench stretches before us like an underwater canyon carved by time itself. This is not just a depression in the seafloor, but a meeting place of enormous geological forces, where one tectonic plate surrenders to another in an endless, patient embrace. Deep-sea sediment cores reveal layers upon layers of history. Each centimeter represents thousands of years of accumulated marine snow, dust from distant continents, and the remains of countless microscopic organisms. Scientists drilling into these sediments have found records of ancient ice ages, volcanic eruptions, and even asteroid impacts that occurred millions of years before humans walked the Earth. Your mind is like these sediment layers now, with thoughts settling gently one upon another, creating a soft foundation for sleep. Each thought becomes part of the layers, buried peacefully beneath the next, until they're so deep you can barely remember them. In certain regions of the trench, underwater landslides have created massive scars on the seafloor. These submarine landslides can involve billions of tons of sediment moving at once, triggered by earthquakes, or simply by the gradual accumulation of material on steep inclines. The slides reshape the geography of the deep, creating new valleys and burying old ones. The creatures living here must adapt to this changing landscape. Some burrow deep into the sediment for protection, while others drift with the currents, ready to settle wherever conditions allow. Flexibility and patience define survival in the abyss. You too are adapting now, your body finding the perfect position for rest, your mind accepting whatever thoughts arise and letting them pass without attachment. Flexibility and patience carry you deeper into comfort. Chemosynthetic bacteria form the foundation of life in many deep-sea communities. Unlike plants that use sunlight for photosynthesis, these bacteria harvest energy from chemicals, hydrogen sulfide, methane, or other compounds that would be toxic to most life. They convert these poisons into nutrition, creating food from darkness. Around hydrothermal vents, these bacteria grow in thick mats, white and yellow against the black rock. Larger organisms graze on these bacterial gardens or form partnerships with the bacteria, housing them inside specialized organs. The bacteria produce nutrients and in return receive shelter and access to the chemicals they need. This cooperation between organisms, this mutual support, mirrors the relationship between your conscious and unconscious mind. Your conscious mind can rest now, trusting your unconscious to maintain all the processes that keep you alive, keep you breathing, keep your heart beating. You don't need to supervise to control. You can simply let go. The Mariana Trench is also home to unique geological formations called mud volcanoes. These structures form when pressurized mud and water from deep beneath the seafloor find weak points and erupt upward, creating cone-shaped mounds. Unlike volcanic lava, mud volcano eruptions are cold and slow, with mud oozing rather than exploding. Some of these mud volcanoes rise hundreds of feet from the seafloor, creating isolated habitats. The chemistry of the mud differs from surrounding sediments, attracting specialized microbes and the creatures that feed on them. Each mud volcano becomes a small ecosystem, an island in the abyssal plain. Your thoughts are like these mud volcanoes now, occasionally bubbling up from the depths of your unconscious, rising briefly, then settling back into the landscape of your mind. Each thought is just a small disturbance, nothing to concern yourself with. Just a natural process occurring as you drift towards sleep. In the Western Pacific, the Mariana Trench connects to other trenches and basins through a complex system of underwater passages. Water flows between these deep basins, carrying nutrients, organisms, and information about distant regions. Nothing in the ocean is truly isolated. Deep currents, driven by differences in temperature and salinity, move like rivers through the abyss. These currents can persist for decades or centuries, following the same paths, carving the same channels. Reliable as clockwork despite occurring in complete darkness miles below the surface. You can feel yourself becoming part of these ancient currents now. Your consciousness flowing along well-worn paths toward rest, following routes established over a lifetime of sleeping and waking, natural as water flowing downhill. The Hadal zone, where the Mariana Trench resides, represents less than 1% of the ocean's area, but contains some of its most extreme conditions. Pressure here doesn't just compress, it fundamentally changes how molecules behave. Proteins that would function normally at the surface fold incorrectly under such pressure. cell membranes become too rigid to function, life here must employ special adaptations at the molecular level. Hadal organisms produce organic compounds called piezolites that counteract pressure's effects on proteins. These molecules act as molecular chaperones, helping proteins maintain their proper shape despite the crushing weight of 8 tons per square inch. It's elegant biochemistry, evolution's solution to an extreme problem. Your body has its own elegant solutions, its own adaptations for rest. Your muscles know how to relax completely. Your nervous system knows how to shift into parasympathetic mode. Your brain knows how to generate the slow delta waves of deep sleep. All the mechanisms are in place, refined over millions of years of mammalian evolution. You don't need to think about it. Your body knows what to do. Seismic studies of the Mariana Trench have revealed the structure of the subducting Pacific plate as it descends into the mantle. The plate doesn't simply melt immediately. Instead, it remains solid for hundreds of miles, diving at a shallow angle beneath the overriding plate, eventually reaching depths of 400 miles or more before it finally begins to melt and integrate with the mantle. This descending slab of rock generates earthquakes as it grinds against surrounding material. These deep earthquakes, occurring at depths of 400 miles or more, are among the deepest seismic events on Earth. The energy from these quakes travels through the planet's interior, recorded by seismometers on the opposite side of the globe. You're descending too, but your descent is peaceful, without friction, without resistance. You're sinking through layers of consciousness as smoothly as a stone sinking through water, pulled gently by gravity toward the bottom, toward the deepest rest. In some regions of the trench, natural gas seeps emerge from the seafloor. Methane bubbles rise through the sediment, but the intense pressure keeps them from reaching the surface. Instead, they dissolve back into the water at shallower depths, or are consumed by methane-eating bacteria that form thick mats around the seeps. These cold seeps can persist for centuries, providing a steady supply of chemical energy to specialized communities. Mussels cluster so densely around seeps that they form reefs, their shells creating structure in an otherwise featureless plain. These mussel beds can persist for decades, with individual mussels living for over a century. Persistence and patience. The themes repeat in the deep. Nothing happens quickly here. Growth is slow, reproduction is infrequent, lifespans are long. The deep ocean moves to a different rhythm than the surface world, a slower tempo, more sustainable, more peaceful. Your heart rate is matching that slower tempo now. Each beat comes a little later than the last, as your body settles into its resting rhythm. Soon, your heartbeat will be barely noticeable, a quiet background pulse, maintaining life while you dream. The trench floor is scarred by long linear features called tectonic striations. These grooves in the seafloor run parallel to the trench axis, created by the bending and faulting of the Pacific plate as it begins its descent. The plate doesn't bend smoothly but fractures, creating a series of ridges and valleys that give the trench floor its characteristic texture. Sediment accumulates preferentially in the valleys, while ridges remain relatively bare. This creates a patchwork of different habitats, different sediment depths, different communities. Diversity emerges from geology, from the physical structure of the environment, creating opportunities for specialization. Your mind is creating its own landscape now, a dreamscape with its own ridges and valleys, its own features and formations. Soon you'll explore this landscape, wandering through dreams that make their own kind of sense, following their own geology. Scientists have discovered that some deep-sea creatures migrate vertically on a daily cycle, even in the Hadal zone where no sunlight penetrates. These creatures somehow sense the day-night cycle above, perhaps through subtle changes in water chemistry, or through inherited circadian rhythms that persist even in eternal darkness. The migration is small, just a few hundred feet up and down, but it's consistent, repeated every 24 hours, even in complete darkness, even under crushing pressure. Life remembers the sun, maintains a connection to the surface world through behavior passed down through generations. You too carry ancient rhythms, circadian patterns encoded in your genes. Your body knows when it's time to sleep, even in artificial light, even in modern environments far removed from natural cycles. Trust those ancient rhythms. They're guiding you now, leading you toward the rest you need. The deepest regions of the Mariana Trench remain largely unexplored. Of the hundreds of dives made into the trench, most have visited the same few locations. Vast areas have never been seen by human eyes or cameras. The trench could hold entirely unknown species, unique geological features, or phenomena we haven't even imagined yet. This unknown territory represents one of the last true frontiers on Earth. We've mapped more of the moon's surface than the deep ocean floor. We've sent more people into space than into the Hadal zone. The deep remains mysterious, remote, largely inaccessible. But in your dreams, you have access to everywhere. Your sleeping mind can explore territories no submarine will ever reach, can discover things no instrument will ever measure. In sleep, you're free to wander the entire universe of your unconscious, which is vast and deep and full of mysteries of its own. Your breathing has become so quiet now, so gentle, that you're barely exchanging air. Your body has optimized everything for rest, reducing oxygen consumption, lowering metabolism, preparing for the deep restoration that comes with sleep. And still we drift together through the Mariana Trench, through its canyons and valleys, through its gardens of bioluminescence and fields of nodules, through its vents and seeps and silent plains. The trench continues, always deeper, always darker, always more peaceful. You continue too, always more relaxed, always more comfortable, always closer to the moment when consciousness finally releases its grip and dreams begin. That moment approaches now, gentle as marine snow falling through dark water, inevitable as the tide. natural as breathing. The universe keeps turning, the plates keep grinding, the water keeps flowing, and we keep drifting, floating together through the mysteries, through the depths, through the endless peaceful dark of the Mariana Trench. In some regions, cold seep fields appear, where methane and other hydrocarbons leak from beneath the seafloor, creating chemical oases. Bacterial mats spread across the stone, white and yellow, feeding on methane, supporting communities of clams, mussels, creatures that harvest energy from Earth's deep chemistry. The trench walls, rising like cliffs, ancient stone faces, formed over 50 million years, scarred by submarine landslides, by quakes that rearrange the darkness. These walls hold secrets, fossils pressed into rock, from when these stones last saw sunlight, before they were dragged down into the abyss. Undersea earthquakes rumble through the trench constantly. Minor tremors, the grinding of plates. Magnitude 4, 5, sometimes larger. The vibrations travel through water, through stone, creating avalanches in slow motion, sediment cascading, settling, like your thoughts, cascading, settling into rest. Your jaw, completely relaxed now, tongue soft against your teeth, every muscle melting. Unmapped caverns hide within the trench walls, caves leading into stone. How deep they go, no one knows. Robotic submersibles have glimpsed openings, darkness within darkness, but have not explored. The current pulls at these mouths, water flowing in or out, breathing, the breathing of the earth itself. There are regions where sonar fails, where echolocation cannot find the bottom. The sound waves travel down, and never return, as if the depth continues forever. These canyons, these unmapped black canyons, appear on no chart. Submarines avoid them. The darkness there feels different, heavier, ancient. Strange acoustic signatures emerge from these depths, clicking sounds, repeating, patterns that suggest intention, yet no creature has been identified as the source. The clicks echo, spread, fade into the eternal dark. Some researchers call them bioduck sounds. Others have no name for them. They simply exist. Thump, thump, your heartbeat, slower now, peaceful. In the deepest regions, the pressure creates unusual physics. Water becomes more viscous, thicker, almost syrupy. Sound travels faster. Light, if any existed, would bend in unexpected ways, creating deep sea mirages, shapes that shimmer and vanish, illusions born of pressure and chemistry. Species unknown to science drift through these depths, captured once on camera, never seen again. A pale fish, elongated, with eyes too large for its body, there for one moment on one expedition, then gone, swimming into regions we haven't reached, hiding in trenches within the trench. The ocean keeps its secrets. Bioluminescent gardens appear without warning, entire regions where creatures glow, jellyfish pulsing with blue light, comb jellies trailing rainbows through the dark, small crustaceans creating constellations. You drift through this light, this soft light, as your consciousness drifts toward dreams. The snailfish holds the record for deepest fish ever recorded, found at 27,000 feet in the Mariana Trench. Pale, almost translucent, its body more gel than solid, perfectly adapted, its bones partially cartilage, flexible, its cells filled with organic compounds that prevent proteins from being crushed. Nature's engineering, elegant, efficient. Let your body feel soft, gel-like, boneless, sinking deeper into your bed. Abyssal giants move through the midnight zone. The giant squid, arms stretching 30 feet, eyes the size of dinner plates, the largest eyes in the animal kingdom, designed to catch the faintest bioluminescence, to spot predators in the endless dark. These creatures rarely surface, living their entire lives in crushing pressure, hunting, mating, dying, in silence. The Pacific sleeper shark, slow-moving, lethargic, glides through these depths, 20 feet long, feeding on whatever it encounters. Its metabolism so slow it might live for centuries, moving like a dream, barely swimming, just existing in the cold, the pressure, the dark. Tectonic plate boundaries meet here, the Ring of Fire's western edge, where Earth's crust tears and reforms. The Pacific Plate, one of the largest, slides beneath the Mariana Plate at 2 to 3 inches per year. This movement happening now, as you listen, as you rest, the stone grinding, melting, reforming deep below the trench floor, in the mantle, where rock becomes liquid, your breathing automatic, easy, each exhale releasing tension. Volcanic activity rumbles beneath the sediment, magma chambers slowly filling, waiting. The Mariana Islands, a chain of volcanoes, rise from this same system. Peaks of undersea mountains, only a few break the surface. The rest, hidden, covered by 2 miles, 4 miles, 6 miles of water. Ancient lava flows, frozen mid-cascade, line the trench walls. Pillow basalts, formed when molten rock met icy water. Each pillow, a snapshot of the moment heat met cold. Pressure froze the flow. These formations, millions of years old, look fresh, preserved in the darkness, in the cold. The midnight ripple phenomenon occurs in certain regions. Scientists have observed subtle movements in the sediment, rhythmic, like breathing, like a pulse. No earthquake causes this, no current. The ripples simply appear, spread, fade, thump, thump, matching. Some deeper rhythm, thermal layers, invisible, stratify the water, cold pockets, warm pockets. Regions where temperature shifts 15 degrees in a few feet. These boundaries trap sound, bend light, create acoustic mirrors. Submarines can hide beneath them, becoming invisible to sonar. The water, holding secrets. In some areas, researchers have found unnatural symmetry, Perfect circles pressed into the mud, too regular to be random, spaced evenly, 15 feet across, each one. No creature has been observed making them. They simply exist, geometric, precise, unexplained. Your eyelids, so heavy, heavy as the ocean. Let them close, stay closed, drifting. Glow thread formations appear in photographs, long filaments of light stretching across the darkness. Some bioluminescent creatures trail, or something else. The threads form patterns, webs, constellations. Then the camera passes, and when it returns, they're gone, vanished, as if they were never there. The trenches pulse like currents, unexpected, surge through certain regions. Water accelerates, then stops, accelerates, stops, like a heartbeat. Thump, thump. No tide explains this, no underwater river. The pulse simply exists, measured, confirmed, unexplained. Species that vanish when approached appear on sonar, on thermal imaging, large masses, moving with purpose. But when the submarine descends, when the robot arrives, nothing. Empty water, cold and dark. Whatever was there has gone. Into unmapped regions, into crevices, into the impossible depths. Shimmering pressure domes, occasionally visible. Zones where the water itself seems to bend, creating a lens effect. Objects beyond appear distorted, warped. These domes form, persist for hours or days, then collapse, the water returning to uniformity. Scientists believe complex salinity gradients, temperature variations, but the mathematics don't quite explain. Let your thoughts bend, blur, lose their edges, drifting into formlessness. The second darkness, researchers call it, a phenomenon reported by multiple deep-sea expeditions. When instruments pass 25,000 feet, the darkness changes, becomes more than absence of light. It feels textured, present, oppressive. Even instruments register anomalies, sensors showing something that isn't quite measurable. Sulfur clouds billow from volcanic fissures, yellow and white, spreading through the water, creating zones of chemical richness. Bacteria thrive in these clouds, forming the base of entire food chains. Translucent shrimp, blind, navigate by chemical sensors, feeding, reproducing in the sulfur fog, their bodies adapted to toxins that would kill surface life instantly. The Mariana Trench is not the only trench, but it is the deepest. The Tonga Trench, the Philippine Trench. Others score the ocean floor, but Challenger Deep remains the lowest point, the ultimate descent, 7 miles down, where the weight of the ocean presses against itself, your body so heavy, sinking through the mattress, through the floor, drifting down. Fossil-free depths characterize the trench floor. The pressure, the chemistry, prevent fossilization. Bones dissolve, shells disintegrate. Everything that dies here becomes sediment, unrecognizable. The rock holds no record, just smooth stone and silence. Lost submersibles rest somewhere in these depths. Early expeditions before modern technology, lost contact, sank, never recovered. Somewhere, in unmapped regions, a bathysphere rests, its crew long gone, entombed in steel. The ocean keeps them, hidden in darkness, in pressure, forever. Metal-crushing pressure has destroyed cameras, imploded titanium spheres, compressed instruments to fragments. Engineers designed for 8 tons per square inch, but sometimes something fails. The water rushes in, faster than thought. The vessel collapses, becomes a compacted mass, sinking, settling into the ooze. Yet humans have visited Challenger Deep 3 times. The first, Jacques Piccard and Don Walsh, in 1960 in the Trieste, a bathysphere. They spent 20 minutes at the bottom, observed a flatfish, proving life exists even there. Then, 52 years passed before James Cameron descended, solo, filming, documenting, and recently, Victor Vescovo. Multiple dives, mapping, discovering. But these visits measure in hours. The abyss keeps its secrets, your consciousness, loosening, releasing, each thought drifting away like marine snow. Abyssal light bursts occur without warning, flashes captured on camera, origin unknown, not bioluminescence, different, whiter, brighter, lasting only a fraction of a second. Some theories suggest chemical reactions, pressure-induced piezoelectric effects, rocks grinding, releasing energy, but no one knows for certain. The bottomless-looking drop-offs appear on sonar maps, vertical walls descending past the range of instruments. How deep they go, uncertain. The sonar wave travels down, weakens, scatters. No return signal, just indication of depth, beyond depth, an abyss within the abyss. Trench echoes no one can trace, sound patterns reflecting off something. But when submarines investigate, nothing there. Empty water, smooth sediment. Yet the echo persists, returns from the same location, day after day, until one expedition, it stops. The echo, gone. The mystery, remaining. Cold seep communities cluster in certain regions. Mussels, hundreds of them. Their shells white against the dark sediment. They filter bacteria from the methane-rich water, growing slowly, some living 200 years, 2 centuries, in darkness, in stillness, filtering, existing. The coldest pocket ever recorded, measured, minus 1.5 degrees Celsius. Seawater normally freezes at -2, but the salinity, the pressure, keep it liquid. This pocket sits in a depression, cold pooling like fog, denser than surrounding water, a lake of cold within the cold ocean. Your body temperature dropping slightly as you relax, as you drift towards sleep, comfortable, heavy, at peace. Abyssal giants passing in silence. The giant isopod, 14 inches long, a creature from ancient times, armored, pale, moving slowly across the sediment, scavenging, feeding on whatever falls from above, capable of surviving without food for years. Metabolism so slow it barely qualifies as alive, yet persisting in the dark. The trench's no sound zones exist in certain regions where all acoustic activity ceases. No clicks, no biosounds, no rumble of quakes, just silence. Absolute silence. Water so still, so quiet, it feels empty, devoid of life. Though thermal sensors suggest creatures present, they make no sound. They simply exist in perfect quiet. Let your mind find that quiet, that perfect silence where thoughts cease. Sudden warm pools appear without explanation. Regions where temperature spikes 5 degrees, 10 degrees warmer than surrounding water. No vent nearby, no obvious source. The warmth just exists. Thermoclines so sharp, instruments register both temperatures simultaneously, hot and cold, occupying the same space. Unmapped caverns branch through the trench walls. Sonar suggests networks, tunnels, extending miles into the stone, carved by ancient water flow or tectonic movement, now flooded, dark, unexplored. Robotic submarines lack the ability to navigate tight spaces, so the caverns remain mysteries waiting. The unblinking abyssal watchers, a name given to certain creatures photographed at extreme depths, fish-like but wrong, heads too large, eyes covering half the skull, unmoving, hovering in place, staring at the camera, not fleeing, not approaching, just watching until the camera moves away, and when it returns, they're gone. Invisible turbulence fields occur in thermocline regions. The water appears still, but instruments detect violent motion, spinning, churning, a storm contained in calm. These fields can damage equipment, twist cables, yet look like still water. The danger invisible. Your breathing so quiet now, barely noticeable. Each inhale automatic, each exhale releasing you into deeper rest. Blue fire phenomena witnessed by one expedition. A glow, pale blue, emerging from a fissure in the trench wall. Not chemical, not bioluminescent, different. The glow pulsed, intensified, then extinguished, like a flame underwater, where flame cannot exist, recorded, documented, never explained. The floating silver trail appears in certain photographs, a ribbon, metallic, suspended in water, stretching hundreds of feet, perfectly straight, reflecting the camera lights. When the submarine returned, hours later, the trail gone. No creature known produces such a trail. No mineral deposit behaves this way. It was, and then it wasn't. Magnetic pulse detected in one region, strong enough to interfere with instruments, disrupt navigation. The pulse emanates from the sea floor, regular, every 47-second, thump, thump, like a heartbeat. Geologists suggest iron deposits, tectonic movement, but the regularity, the precision, seems almost intentional. The deep mirage layer exists at 23,000 feet, a depth where Optical instruments fail to focus. Images blur, shimmer, objects appear, then dissolve. Not equipment malfunction. Something about that depth, that pressure, that darkness creates distortion, makes reality uncertain. Ancient geological record, written in the trench walls, each layer a chapter. The stone remembers when these layers formed in shallow seas under sunlight, before the plates moved, before the subduction dragged them down. Now buried, miles beneath the surface, the record preserved in eternal darkness. Your memory dissolving. No need to remember, just drift, forget, release. Seafloor sediment secrets hide beneath the ooze. Core samples reveal layers of ash from volcanic eruptions thousands of years ago, each layer marking a catastrophe on the surface. The ash, settled through miles of water, accumulated, was buried. The disasters recorded in sediment, in silence. Strange echo signatures bounce from certain regions. Sonar returns, patterns, almost regular, almost technological, but nothing there, just water and stone. Yet the echoes persist, suggesting shapes, structures that don't exist, or exist in ways instruments can't detect. Unseen predators hunt in the deepest zones. Evidence appears, bite marks on recovered equipment, scratches on metal, deep gouges from teeth or claws belonging to creatures never photographed. They approach in darkness, investigate, attack, then vanish back into the unmapped regions, the wall of ghost currents, an area where instruments detect flow, but the water appears still, dyes released, don't move, but current meters spin, indicating powerful movement. Some force moves through without disturbing the water itself, a current that isn't quite physical. Let your thoughts become currents, flowing without direction, without purpose. The trench's silent avalanche occurs periodically. Sediment on steep inclines suddenly cascades, millions of tons sliding down, creating underwater landslides, but silently. No vibration, no sound wave. The avalanche simply happens, rearranging the geography, covering what was revealed, revealing what was covered. Pale lights drifting in formation, witnessed by multiple expeditions. 7, 9, 11 points of light, moving together, maintaining precise spacing, swimming or drifting, at depth where few creatures possess bioluminescence. The lights maintain formation for miles, then scatter, vanish individually, like stars going out. Uncharted pressure domes appear on bathymetric maps, regions where the seafloor bulges upward, as if something beneath pushes up magma or gas or something else. The domes grow, millimeter by millimeter, year by year. Will they burst? Will they collapse? No one knows. The trench's wandering glow, reported by multiple crews, a soft luminescence, moving, following the submarine, maintaining distance, never approaching, never receding. just paralleling like a companion or a guard. When the submarine surfaces, the glow remains below, waiting for the next descent. The abyssal curtain drop, a phenomenon where suspended particles suddenly fall all at once, as if a curtain released. The water clears, visibility increases, and the seafloor, previously hidden, appears, revealing landscapes never seen for minutes before new particles drift down and visibility fades again. Your eyelids sealed, heavy, impossible to lift. No need to try, just rest, drift deeper. Black veins in the seafloor crisscross certain regions, dark lines through lighter sediment, following patterns that suggest intention. Some natural process creates them, probably, but their regularity, their intersections forming almost geometric shapes, leaves questions unanswered. The trench's breathing caverns, discovered recently, openings in the wall where water flows in, then flows out, rhythmically, like breathing. The cycle matches no known tide, no current. The caverns simply breathe, in and out. For reasons unknown, unmapped blue gate appears on one survey, a formation, like pillars supporting a massive stone lintel, creating a gateway leading into a canyon even deeper. The formation natural, probably, erosion and chance, but the symmetry, the proportions, feel intentional. The gateway leads, nowhere mapped, nowhere explored. The faint whisper current, detected in the deepest regions, a movement so subtle, instruments barely register, but persistent, constant, flowing from the darkest depths, upward, carrying something, minerals, or heat, or information. The whisper never stops, never changes, just flows eternally. Your heartbeat, thump, thump, so slow, so quiet, almost imperceptible, like the whisper current, flowing, eternal, peaceful. Undersea mountain peaks rise from the abyssal plain, seamounts, volcanic remnants, climbing thousands of feet, still far beneath the surface, their peaks hosting unique ecosystems, coral gardens, sponge forests, fish congregating, using the peaks as meeting places, feeding grounds. In the darkness, the peaks are islands of life. The endless-looking hollow, photographed once a depression in the seafloor. The lights illuminated the rim, but the center remained black, absolute black, absorbing light. Instruments suggested depth, but uncertain. The submarine moved away, did not investigate. The hollow remains unopened. Flickers beneath the sediment, detected by sensitive instruments. Light or heat, moving just below the surface, traveling in lines, in arcs. No burrowing creature creates these patterns. The flickers suggest activity, energy, something happening just out of view. Beneath, the soft The undersea footsteps line, a discovery that puzzles researchers. Regular depressions in the sediment, spaced like footsteps, for 3 miles, perfectly straight, each depression the same depth, the same size. Then the line ends. Nothing before, nothing after. Just 3 miles of footsteps leading nowhere. Hydrothermal chimneys grow at vents. Minerals precipitate, build up, creating towers, some reaching 60 feet tall, shaped like chimneys, spires, castles. Black smokers belch sulfide-rich water. White smokers release lighter minerals. The chimneys grow an inch per day, some of them building cathedrals in the dark. Around these chimneys, life clusters, extremophils, organisms thriving in boiling water, in toxic chemicals, in utter darkness. They represent, perhaps, the origin of life itself. The first organisms might have emerged near vents like these, feeding on chemistry, before photosynthesis and before sun, just heat and stone and water. Let that ancient simplicity fill you, just existence, without complexity, without thought, just being. The Great Black Spiral, visible on sonar maps, a formation spiraling clockwise down into deeper regions. Each arm of the spiral a channel worn in stone by water or time. The spiral measures 2 miles across. Its center descends to unmapped depths. No expedition has followed it to its conclusion. Unknown shapes near the abyss wall appear in low-resolution sonar, geometric, cubical, angular, not natural formations, possibly equipment from failed expeditions or something else. The resolution too poor to determine. Future dives planned to investigate. But for now, the shapes remain anomalies, questions without answers. The cold shimmer veil occurs when fresh cold water meets warmer saline water, creating a boundary, a thermocline that shimmers like heat waves, but cold. The veil drapes across certain regions, obscuring what lies below. Instruments can penetrate, but visually, the veil hides, preserves mysteries. Unnatural stillness zone exists in one region. No current, no movement, water perfectly still. For cubic miles, dye released, hangs in place, doesn't diffuse, doesn't drift, just stays, as if the water is frozen, but it's liquid, cold but liquid. The stillness defies hydrodynamics, yet persists. Your body perfectly still, every muscle relaxed, no need to move, to shift, just stillness, complete. The trench is humming stone, discovered on one dive, a rock unremarkable, except it hums a low frequency, felt more than heard. The hum, constant. Instruments detect vibration, but no source, nothing inside the stone, no mechanism. It simply hums, was left there on the seafloor, still humming. Probably phantom heat ripples appear on thermal imaging, waves of warmth moving through on cold water, but no source, No vent, no volcanic activity. The heat just exists, travels, dissipates. Then another ripple. Hours later, days later, the pattern irregular, unexplained. Frozen bubble chambers exist in certain rock formations, gas bubbles trapped in stone, frozen at the moment of formation millions of years ago. The bubble contain ancient atmosphere, samples of what air once was, before humans, before mammals, before a message from deep time, preserved in pressure, in darkness. The echo of falling water heard on hydrophones in places far from any waterfall, any source. The sound persists like rain, like a stream, falling where nothing falls. The echo, probably an artifact of acoustics, probably the depth's magnetic pulse, anomaly, detected in multiple locations, strong magnetic fields where none should exist. The seafloor, here, composed of basalt, iron poor, yet magnetism, pulses, rhythmic, thump, thump, following some unknown cycle. Your thoughts pulled down by invisible force, sinking, unable to rise, just descending into sleep. Sudden darkness collapses occur when bioluminescent plankton all extinguish at once. The background glow, faint but present, suddenly gone. Total darkness for seconds, minutes, then slowly the glow returns. Why they extinguish together, unknown. The luminous drift web spans between two seamounts, threads glowing, stretched across open water, a construction too large for any known creature, spanning miles. The web drifts, slowly rotating in unfelt currents, beautiful, inexplicable. Hidden metallic towers appear on magnetic surveys, structures rising from the seafloor, metallic or metallically dense, but covered by sediment. What are they? Natural or now mineral deposits or something else, buried, waiting to be uncovered. The trench's silent surge, a current that appears suddenly powerful, then stops. The surge carries equipment, disorients, submarines, then calm, returns as if nothing happened. No seismic trigger, no tidal force, just the surge and silence. Let the surge carry your last thoughts away into darkness. Invisible thermal layers stack like shelves in the water column, each layer a different temperature, creating barriers that trap sound, light, creatures, each layer a separate world, isolated by temperature, by density, by physics. The frozen bubble chambers contain not just gas, but also tiny organisms frozen at the moment of capture. Ancient bacteria, prehistoric, preserved, alive. Potentially, if released, if thawed, they might swim again after millions of years. Lost geological time exists in the trench walls, layers that don't match. Surface geology, time periods, missing or compressed. The stone tells a story, different from the surface, a parallel history of the Earth hidden here. Subduction mysteries occur where plates meet, the ocean floor consumed, pulled down into the mantle, melted, recycled. This process powers volcanoes, creates mountains, but rest details remain uncertain. The stone descends beyond our reach. Silent underwater storms occur in certain regions, turbulence, violent, but soundless, water churning, spinning, yet no vibration, no acoustic signature. Instruments detect chaos, but hydrophones record nothing. The storm, invisible, inaudible, real. Your mind spinning softly, thoughts breaking apart, dissolving into nothing. Deep sea snowfall never stops. Particles descending, always from the sunlit surface through miles of darkness, taking weeks, months to reach the bottom. This snow feeds the abyss, sustains everything below. The constant, gentle fall, and deeper still, we drift. Your body, so far from the surface now, miles of water above you, the weight comforting, pressing down like a blanket, heavy, heavy. Your breath, automatic, soft, like the current that moves without moving. Thump, thump, your heart keeping time with the ancient pulse of the deep. No rush, no urgency, just existence. In the dark, in the cold, in the quiet, the Mariana Trench holds stories older than memory, older than consciousness. The stone here remembers when the world was different, when continents sat elsewhere, when oceans covered everything. Let your memory fade away like those ancient times. No need to remember tomorrow, yesterday, even today. Just this moment, this breath, this descent into peace. Enigmatic clicking sounds continue in certain regions, patterns that almost sound like language. Click, 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 pause, click, click, pause. Researchers have recorded thousands of hours trying to decode the pattern, but meaning remains hidden. If meaning exists at all, perhaps the clicks are simply the ocean talking to itself, the water conversing with stone, with pressure, with time. Your thoughts becoming clicks, scattered, random, without connection. Abyssal plains stretch for hundreds of miles, flat, featureless, the most level places on Earth, smoother than any desert, any tundra. Sediment has filled every depression, every crack, creating perfect flatness. If you walked across these plains, your footprints would remain for decades, centuries, nothing to disturb them. No wind, no rain, no animals, just stillness, your mark preserved in the ooze forever. Your body leaves no mark on the mattress, sinking without resistance, becoming one with the bed, with the dark, with the night. The trench floor, in some places, covered with manganese nodules, potato-sized lumps, of metal, grown slowly over millions of years, accreting layer by layer like pearls, but made of manganese, iron, cobalt, valuable metals, just sitting there in the dark, waiting. These nodules grow at the rate of millimeters per million years, the slowest growth on Earth. Yet they cover vast areas, billions of tons of metal resting on the seafloor, unharvested, undisturbed. Time moves differently. Down here, a million years passes like a day, or perhaps a day feels like a million years. When you're surrounded by eternity, let time lose meaning. No clock, no schedule, just the eternal now. Unknown ecosystems thrive in isolation, separate from the rest of the ocean, trapped in trenches, cut off by geography, by depth. These creatures evolved separately for millions of years, creating unique species found nowhere else on Earth. The Mariana snailfish exists only here, adapted perfectly to this pressure, this cold, this darkness. Take it to the surface, and it would expand, burst, die. It belongs here, only here, in the deepest place. You belong here, in this moment, in this bed, in this darkness. No other place calls you. Nothing to do, nowhere to be. Seamount chains rise from the abyssal plain, ancient volcanoes, now extinct, cold, dead, but still standing, monuments to tectonic violence billions of years ago, when the Earth was young, angry, molten. These seamounts now serve as habitats, oases in the desert of the deep. Currents strike them, forced upward, bringing nutrients from below, creating upwellings where life concentrates. Deep sea corals grow on seamount inclines, not the colourful reef corals, but cold water species, white, pale pink, growing slowly, a millimeter per year. Some colonies, thousands of years old, older than human civilization. Thump, thump, your heart beating slower than those corals grow, each beat an eternity apart. The midnight zone currents move in strange ways, following paths determined by temperature, salinity, the shape of the sea floor. These currents can travel thousands of miles, carrying water from the Arctic to the tropics, from the surface to the abyss. Some currents move so slowly that water takes centuries to complete one circuit around the ocean. The same water that surrounds you now in the trench might have been at the surface when your ancestors were alive. Everything connects: water, time, life, death, all flowing together, inseparable. You're part of this flow, this current, this ancient circulation. Let yourself flow. No resistance, no control, just drifting with the current of sleep. Trench wall formations create vertical cliffs rising thousands of feet from the trench floor, These walls, scarred by time, by pressure, by the grinding of plates, faults, visible like wounds in the stone. Rock slides occur periodically. Stone, weakened by pressure, by time, finally gives way, cascading down the wall, creating avalanches of rock that fall in slow motion through the thick, pressurized water. The rumble of these slides travels for miles through the ocean, a low-frequency vibration felt more than heard by creatures in the deep, a reminder that even here, in the stillness, nothing is truly permanent. Your thoughts cascading like rock slides, tumbling, slowing, coming to rest at the bottom of consciousness. Seafloor spreading occurs at mid-ocean ridges where plates pull apart, magma rises, creating new seafloor. This floor moves outward, slowly, eventually reaching trenches where it's consumed, pulled down, recycled. The rock beneath the Mariana Trench is some of the oldest ocean floor on Earth, 180 million years old, ancient. When dinosaurs still walked, this rock was forming at a ridge somewhere far away. Now it descends into the mantle, returning to the earth, melting, becoming magma. Again, the cycle, complete, death and rebirth. In stone, everything returns to the source. Energy, matter, consciousness, all cycling forever. You're part of this cycle, returning now to the source of rest. Cold water sinks in polar regions, dense, heavy. It flows along the bottom toward the equator. This water fills the trenches, the deepest basins, Antarctic bottom water, some of the coldest on Earth. This water hasn't seen sunlight in centuries. It left the surface before Industrial Revolution, before electricity. It's been traveling in darkness ever since, finally coming to rest here in the deepest place. You too have been traveling through your day, through tasks, through thoughts, finally coming to rest here in the deepest sleep. Thump, thump, so quiet, so slow, almost stopped. Bioluminescent gardens appear in certain regions where currents concentrate planktonic creatures, millions of them, each one glowing blue-green light. The combined effect creates carpets of light, meadows, gardens in the void. These gardens pulse with the movement of the plankton, waves of light washing across the darkness like aurora, underwater, silent, beautiful, ephemeral. A submarine passing through becomes surrounded by light, stars in every direction, above, below, all around, as if flying through a nebula, through the heart of the galaxy. You're surrounded by stars now, behind your eyelids, gentle lights, floating, drifting, carrying you deeper into dreams. Hydrothermal vent fauna includes creatures found nowhere else. Pompeii worms living at the edge of the vents, where temperature reaches 140 degrees, the hottest habitat for complex life on Earth. These worms, covered in bacterial fleece, a coating of microbes that protect them from the heat, from the chemicals. The bacteria and worm living together, symbiosis, in hell's lobby. Yeti crabs cluster around vents, their hairy arms covered with filamentous bacteria. They farm these bacteria, waving their arms through the vent water, harvesting their crop. In the dark, life finds a way, even in impossible conditions, adapting, surviving, thriving. Your body adapting now to sleep, finding comfort in stillness, in darkness. The abyssal zone between 13,000 and 20,000 feet covers most of the deep ocean. Cold, dark, quiet, but not empty. Life exists here, sparse but persistent. Tripod fish stand on modified fins like stilts, facing into the current, waiting for food particles to drift by. They stand motionless for hours, days, patient, perfectly patient. Sea cucumbers crawl across the sediment, consuming the ooze, processing organic matter like earthworms of the deep, slowly, methodically cleaning the seafloor. Everything moves slowly. Here, no energy to waste. Every calorie precious, every movement deliberate. Your movements stopping, energy conserved, body at rest. Thump, thump, each heartbeat an event, separated by vast emptiness. Challenger Deep, named for the HMS Challenger, which discovered the trench in 1875 using weighted rope. They measured depth, primitive but effective. The rope descended and descended, finally touching bottom at depths never imagined. The crew must have wondered what existed so far down in darkness, beyond imagination. They couldn't explore, only measure and wonder. Now we have instruments, cameras, submarines, but still we wonder. Still, the trench keeps secrets, vast regions, unexplored, unknown, perhaps unknowable. Some mysteries should remain unsolved, some depths unreached, some darkness undisturbed. Your consciousness reaching that depth now, where exploration ends, where sleep begins. Pressure at Challenger Deep equals 16,000 pounds per square inch, or 8 tons per square inch. Imagine an elephant balanced on your thumbnail. That's the pressure on every square inch of surface. Yet, materials exist that withstand this pressure. Titanium alloys, specialized glass, sapphire, engineers, design spheres to protect humans from crushing, from imploding. But life needs no titanium sphere, needs no protection. Cells adapted over eons, fill with organic osmolytes, compounds that stabilize proteins against pressure. Life simply exists at ease in conditions that would destroy submarines. You need no protection from sleep, no resistance, no walls, just surrender to the pressure of rest, letting it compress you into stillness. Deep scattering layer appears on sonar. During the day, a false bottom seems to exist at around 1,500 feet, but it's not the seafloor. It's billions of creatures, small fish, squid, crustaceans, concentrated in a layer thick enough to reflect sound waves. At night, this layer rises. The creatures ascend toward the surface to feed. The largest migration on Earth happens every night. Billions of animals moving thousands of feet up, then back down. Before dawn, this migration transfers enormous amounts of carbon from the surface to the deep, feeding the abyss, connecting the sunlit world to the dark. Everything connected through movement, through flow. Your consciousness migrating now, descending from the bright surface of waking into the deep, dark, feeding grounds of sleep. Thump, thump, descending, always descending. Subduction zones where trenches form are some of the most geologically active regions on Earth. Earthquakes originate here. Volcanic arcs form parallel to the trench. The ring of fire owes its existence to subduction. The Mariana Islands, volcanic, active, rose from the subduction of the Pacific Plate. Guam, Saipan, Tinian Islands, built by magma, generated as the plate descends, melts, returns to the surface. Creation and destruction happening simultaneously. The plate destroyed in the trench becomes islands. In the arc, nothing, lost, everything, transformed. Your day, destroyed, transformed into night, into rest. Nothing lost, everything changed into peace. The Hadal zone, named for Hades, begins at 20,000 feet, extends to the deepest points. Only Hadal trenches reach this zone. The Mariana, the Tonga, the Kermadec, special places, isolated, extreme. Hadal creatures include snailfish, amphipods, sea cucumbers, specially adapted, their bodies more water than solid, proteins reinforced against collapse. They live where humans cannot, where most life cannot. These creatures never see the surface, never feel sunlight, born in darkness, living in darkness, dying in darkness, yet they persist generation after generation, perfectly suited to their world. You're perfectly suited to this moment, this bed, this darkness, born for sleep, living through the journey, dying into dreams. Marine snow consists of dead plankton, waste pellets, mucus, dust, all bound together in flakes that drift downward, looking like underwater snow This snow is the primary food source for deep creatures. Without marine snow, the deep would starve. Everything depends on this constant, gentle fall of organic matter from above. The snow accumulates on the bottom, building sediment layers, recording ocean history. Each flake a tiny story, a life that ended, a meal digested, a moment captured, drifting down, down, settling forever. Your thoughts like snowflakes, drifting, each one a small story, landing softly, melting, forgotten. Thump, thump, the last few beats before stillness. And we drift, further still, beyond the mapped regions, into waters darker than dark. Your body, weightless now, floating in the space between waking and sleep, that liminal threshold where reality blurs. The trench whispers with voices of stone, of water, of time itself. Can you hear the whisper under your breath, under your thoughts, that soft, insistent pull downward? Nothing to resist, nothing to fear, just descent, gentle, eternal, into the places where light has never been, where silence is complete. Tectonic forces work constantly, invisibly, reshaping the seafloor. The Pacific Plate moves west-northwest at 3 inches per year, steady, relentless, grinding beneath the Mariana Plate, creating friction, heat, earthquakes. This movement has continued for 50 million years, will continue for 50 million more, until eventually the geometry changes, the system reorganizes, nothing remains forever. Everything flows, changes, returns. You're flowing now, changing, returning to the source of all rest, all peace, all silence. Megalodons once swam these oceans, giant sharks, 50 feet long, teeth the size of a hand, apex predators, ruling the seas 20 million years ago, now gone, extinct. Only fossils remain. Did they hunt in the trenches? Did they descend into darkness, chasing prey into the deep? We'll never know. Their bones dissolved, their teeth scattered. The ocean keeps no complete record, but perhaps in the deepest trenches, in unmapped regions, something lingers. Descendants adapted to pressure, to darkness, living on, unseen, impossible to find. In the vastness, your dreams contain ancient things, remnants of ancestral memories, swimming through your unconscious, rising now as you descend. The Mariana Arc, volcanoes form a line parallel to the trench, about 100 miles west. These volcanoes, built from magma, generated as the subducting plate releases water, lowering the melting point of mantle rock. Some of these volcanoes active, erupting underwater, creating new seafloor, new islands, growing the arc, expanding the land, birth and growth happening in silence, in darkness. Beneath the waves, pumice from these eruptions floats for months, creating pumice rafts miles across, drifting with currents, eventually becoming waterlogged, sinking, returning to the deep. Everything returns, everything sinks, eventually including consciousness, floating for a time, then descending into sleep's dark waters. Thump, thump, your heart an anchor pulling you down. Abyssal storms occur near the bottom, caused by bottom currents accelerating over seafloor topography. These storms can persist for months, stirring sediment, creating underwater clouds that drift for miles. During these storms, visibility drops to zero. Even instruments cannot see the current powerful enough to move large rocks, to reshape the seafloor, yet silent. No sound travels through the thick water. Creatures must endure these storms, hunkering down, clinging to stone, waiting for the storm to pass, then emerging to feed on sediment stirred up, exposed. You're waiting too for thoughts to pass, for the storm of consciousness to settle, leaving only clarity, stillness, peace. Xenophiophores, single-celled organisms that grow to 4 inches across, the largest single cells on Earth, living on the seafloor, creating delicate structures from sediment and secretions. These creatures, though simple, have survived for millions of years, longer than most species. Their simplicity, their patience, allows them to persist, while complex creatures come and go. Simplicity, patience, the keys to survival, to peace. Your mind becoming simple, patient, stripped of complexity, of urgency, just being. The Mariana Trench is not a single trench, but rather a system of trenches, basins, valleys, connected and isolated, each region slightly different, creating unique environments for evolution to explore. This complexity creates diversity. Organisms in one basin may differ from those in another, though separated by only a few miles. Isolation drives change, drives specialization. Your mind isolating now, regions going dark, connections severing, each part of your consciousness descending into its own private darkness. Thump, thump, separated by longer silence, each beat more distant than the last. Methane hydrates, ice-like substances, form when methane combines with water. Under high pressure, low temperature, vast deposits exist beneath the seafloor in trenches and margins. These hydrates contain more carbon than all fossil fuels combined, a massive reservoir of energy, but also a hazard if released. Suddenly, the methane could warm the climate, accelerate change. The ocean holds both promise and danger, creation and destruction. in balance, always in balance. Your mind balancing now between waking and sleep, tipping slowly toward the dark. Deep sea mining threatens these environments. Companies want to harvest manganese nodules, rare metals from the seafloor, but the impact on ecosystems remains unknown. Creatures here grow slowly, reproduce slowly. Recovery from disturbance could take centuries, millennia. The scars of mining might last longer than human civilization. Should we disturb these depths, extract their treasures, or leave them in peace, in darkness, untouched? The question remains unanswered. Some things should remain untouched, unexplored. Your sleep should remain undisturbed, protected, sacred. Polynesian voyagers crossed these oceans thousands of years ago in canoes, navigating by stars, by waves, by birds. They passed over the trench, never knowing what lay below. They felt the ocean's power, its mystery, its depth, without needing to measure, to explore, to understand. They respected the ocean as a living being worthy of reverence. You respect sleep in the same way, not fighting, not analyzing, just honoring, surrendering, trusting. Thump, thump, trust the rhythm to continue without your attention. Ancient seafloor contains secrets of past climates, past extinctions, mass die-offs, recorded in sediment layers, iridium, from asteroid impact, isotope ratios showing temperature changes. The seafloor remembers when the world nearly ended, when 90% of species died. The Permian extinction, the Cretaceous impact, all recorded in layers of mud in the deep, but life persisted, recovered, evolved. The ocean endured. The deep remained constant, unchanging, eternal. You will persist through night, through dreams, emerging tomorrow, renewed. But for now, just rest in the eternal present. The abyssal plains cover more area than all continents combined, the largest habitat on Earth, yet the least known, the least explored. Miles of flat sediment, barely changing for thousands of miles to cross these plains. And a submarine would take days, seeing nothing but sediment and occasional nodules. The monotony, absolute. The emptiness, complete. Yet, it's not empty. Tiny creatures burrow through the ooze, tracks, crisscross the surface. Life persists, even here, in the most desolate environment. Your mind crossing its own abyssal plain, vast, empty, but not lifeless. Dreams beginning to burrow, to leave tracks in the sediment of your unconscious. Turbidity currents, underwater avalanches of sediment rush down continental inclines into trenches at speeds reaching 60 miles per hour. These currents can be hundreds of feet thick, carrying enormous volumes of sediment. When they reach the bottom, they spread, creating fans of deposited material. These fans build up over time, layer upon layer, creating some of the smoothest, flattest surfaces on Earth. The currents, powerful but brief, then settling everything, returning to stillness, like your thoughts racing, then settling, returning to peace, thump, thump, settling, always settling deeper. The Arctic Ocean connects to Pacific through the Bering Strait. Cold water flows south, sinking, filling the deep basins. This water eventually reaches the Mariana Trench, carrying Arctic cold to the tropics. Ocean circulation moves like a conveyor belt, connecting all oceans, all depths, nothing isolated, everything flowing together. One system, one ocean, one body of water. You're part of this system, this flow, connected to everything, everyone, all consciousness flowing together through the universal mind, drifting together into the dark. Seamounts number in the tens of thousands scattered across the Pacific, most unnamed, unmapped, rising from the abyss, creating habitats, altering currents, each one a world unto itself. Some seamounts, former islands, eroded, subsided, sinking below the waves as the seafloor aged, cooled, descended, carrying their peaks down into darkness. Everything sinks eventually. Islands, mountains, thoughts, consciousness, all descending into the dark, into the deep, into the embrace of sleep. Your breathing, barely noticeable. Each breath taking minutes or feeling like minutes. Time lost. Meaning only the breath remains. Ghost fishing occurs when lost nets continue catching, killing for decades. These nets drift to the bottom, draping across seamounts, coral gardens, trapping everything that touches them, even in the deepest places. Human impact reaches plastic in the trench, pollution in the sediment, nowhere untouched, nowhere pure anymore. But the ocean endures, absorbs, processes, continues. Despite our impact, the deep remains mostly as it was, patient, ancient, waiting. Sleep remains untouched, pure, ancient, waiting for you to surrender, to join the eternal rest. The deepest living fish, the Mariana snailfish, translucent, small, almost ethereal, looks fragile, yet survives when nothing else can. Its body adapted perfectly to pressure, to darkness, to scarcity. Scientists captured specimens, brought them to surface. They died immediately, expanded, ruptured, unable to exist outside their depth, their pressure, their home. We all have our depth, our pressure, our home, where we belong. You belong here, now, in this bed, in this darkness. This is your depth, your home. Thump, thump, home, at last, at rest. Seafloor vents sometimes go extinct. The magma source shifts. The water stops flowing. The heat fades. The community dies, collapses, leaving only empty chimneys standing as monuments to past abundance. But nearby, new vents open, new communities form. Life moves on, flows to new sources, new energy. Nothing permanent, everything flowing, always flowing. Your thoughts flowing to new sources, new dreams, leaving behind the day, the worries, moving on to new stories, new visions, and we drift together through the mysteries, through the dark, through the deep. Your body, one with the bed, one with the water, one with the stone. No separation between you and the universe, between consciousness and void. Just flow, just being, just peace. The universe keeps turning. Mariana Trench dreams rising from the deepest blue.